Hi everybody, so today I'm going to cover a topic. First of all, Happy New Year. And today I'm going to cover the topic of volume. And this is going to be bar volume. If you want to know about, volume profiles, there's a ton of information. It's not even that hard. There's tons of information out there. So my focus is on bar volume, how to use it. And the framework that I'm going to explain is this: height, trend, sum trend, and a statistic. All right, so this is the framework by which to judge supply and demand, and you're going to learn it today. All right, so what we mean by height, let's start off with height. Height is very simple. Just when you're comparing volumes, you compare. Oh, first thing I need to say, volume. There's a lot of misnomers about what this is. You might hear, okay, volume is fuel, volume is this or that, but it's not true. Volume is money. That's what volume is. And that's why it's so important. And volume on the way up is buying pressure, because money coming in, it's buying. And then down, you can just consider is selling pressure. Why it's selling? Because it's on the way down. All right, so this is very important to understand what volume is. It's money. All right, and you'll see. All right. So the first thing I want to cover about volume is that it's money. That's what it is. It's money. And on the way up, it's buying pressure. On the way down, it's selling pressure. Now, in terms of height, which is the first thing that I'm covering here, is just, let's go over here. Right. So when you have this versus on the up wave versus on the down wave, you have this. Is this bullish or bearish? Obviously, it's bullish. Why? The amount of money in is more than the amount of money. There's more buying pressure than selling pressure. See that? Why? Because the height of the volumes on the way up is greater than the height of the volumes on the way down. So it's really, the bigger volume, it's more likely to go in that direction. There's more buying than selling. Done. That's height. That's the first way of understanding it. Second, it is trend. All right. So the first one, height, which is really amount of money. Right. So here we see that we have more money, more amount of money coming in. And that's why it's bullish, because the height is more than the height on the way down. The second is the trend. What's really important is if you have something like this, that's bullish, right? Especially if it's followed by volume that's tapering off or decreasing, volume that's increasing. That means money is coming in. All right? And this here means less money is coming out. So this is the trend of the volume. Money is coming in. That's all. That's trend of the volume. So obviously this pattern you see all the time is what happens in bullish situation. It happens all the time. You will see that you see that the pullback will have decreasing volumes. You see the trend of the volume is going down on the pullback. That's how you know that the chance of continuation is quite high. Also, one very important thing, when you have change of character, what they call Koch, right? If you have that, right, be wary, because when you have change of character, it should be either heavy or it should be increasing. Like that. It should be heavy or increasing. When you have change of character and it's like decreasing, tapering off, the chances are high that the change of character or the Koch or the whatever is going to get bought. That's just a side note, very important thing. All right. So anyway, coming back to trend of volume, very important. So first, in this framework, you take a look at the height, and it's just the amount of money coming in versus amount of money coming out, buying pressure, selling pressure, more or less, right? That's what you're looking for. Second is the trend. Is there more money, and is it increasing or is it decreasing? Increasing or decreasing? Increasing or decreasing? That's trend. Increasing or decreasing? Is the trend of the volume increasing or is the trend of the volume decreasing? That's it. All right. Third is the sum. So the sum is just the Weiss wave or the wave volume. You need to know this. Because a lot of times the accumulation is done in a way that you won't be able to see it in regular volume. You need wave volume. It will expose the change of behavior. All right. So what they'll do is just have very little bit, but it keeps on going. But and I'll show you an example, like right here. This volume's here in the green, right? There's a lot of it, right? But it's quieter than the red volumes. It's quieter than the red volumes. The height is less than the red volume, so you can't really pick it up. But if you notice, the sum picks it up right here, where it says 77. It's a lot of volume. You see? So that's why you need sum, which is the wave volume. So I've gone through height, I've gone through trend, I've gone through sum. Now the sum trend is the fourth sum trend. And I'll show you again why it's important, is that it can reveal a turn is about to happen when you have the sum of this volume is 80, the sum of this volume is 51, and the sum of the next one is 47. You see how the trend is decreasing? That means that they're losing selling pressure, and it's susceptible to a change in behavior. Again, if you have, and by the way, you need at least 3 waves, at least 3 consecutive waves to see the trend of the volumes either increasing or decreasing. So 80 to 51 to 47, it's set it up for this. All right? So the trend of the volumes decreasing. So there's the trend of the volumes in the wave. Is it increasing or decreasing? And there's the trend of the wave volume sum. So it's the sum and the trend of the sum. The sum is 80. The next sum is 51. The next sum is 47. It's decreasing. And okay, I just went over some trend. And then a statistic. All right? The statistic tells you how big the wave volume is relative to the other waves. So this volume is a change of behavior because it's the biggest in 49 up waves. So that's it. If it's bigger than 49 up waves, it's going to be a change of trend. So it pulls back and goes up this high. All right? Because it's so much volume. Just like this change of behavior is also 49. I'm capping it at 49 because I don't need to see 100. Right? So I know that this is heavy supply. So this is the statistic. All right? And that'll basically tell you that, we're going down. And here they come back in. Heavy volumes, that means it's going up. All right? So this is the basic framework of reading volume. I'll sum it up again. The first is the height of the bars to see if they are, big versus small. That's the amount of money coming in. So, I mean, right here, for example, look at this red. Look at the height. See the height? Look at this height. The height, big red, big red, big red. And then when you have a pullback, less green, less green, less green. So what do you think is going to happen? Right? Big red, smaller green. Bearish. Right? So the height gives it away that this is bearish. Why? Because big red, smaller green. Done. Second is trend. From a trend perspective, you can see the pullbacks, they are decreasing. Their volumes are decreasing. Right? The trend. The trend of the volume. Third is the sum. This sum is 80. The sum of the pullback is 23. Again, 80 versus 23. That's the sum. Sum trend is when you compare the sum of the volumes of the down waves to other down waves and the up waves to other up waves. So the trend of the down wave volumes is 80, 51, and 47, which is decreasing. So that means sun pressure is tapering off. So that's some trend. And finally, you apply a statistic because sometimes you get, this sum that is very high, but how high is it? And it's bigger than the last 49 waves. It's going to create a change of behavior. Big sum, bigger than the rest. And then the sum after that is only 16. So 77 to 16, what do you think is going to happen? Right? So we use this approach. Right? And you see that, it goes down. It starts the selling volume starts tapering off here a little bit. 162, 109. And then you have this big volume on 113. Is there a lot? Let's take a look below to the statistic. It's bigger than the last 49 waves. There's no question. It's going to go higher. That's what it does. All right. So this is a framework that, based on my understanding, and Wyckoff, put this together. So you look at the height. Compare the height of the rally versus the pullbacks. That will give you the amount of money that's coming in. Does the rallies have more volumes? Is the height bigger than the volume of the pullback? The trend, is it going up? Is it increasing money? On the pullback, is it decreasing money? And then the sum is just the Weiss wave volume. You just sum it up. That's all it is. It's just a sum. Like if you have an Excel and you have a column of data, what is the first thing you do with its numbers? The first thing you do with any Excel column of data, of numbers, is typically sum it. So similarly, if you have volumes in a column, you sum it. And then you take the trend of the sum. What does that mean? It means that if this rally is, say, 100, and this, 75. Oh shit. And this 66. And this is 45. You see a problem that the demand is the sum trend. The sum, it's the trend of the sum. I don't know what to say. Trend of the sum or the sum's trend is decreasing. There's a problem here. It's going to fall, right? And then finally, a statistic. So the statistic is just how big is the volume wave relative to other up waves. So this is bigger than 49. This is bigger than 49. Create an uptrend, bigger than 49, create an uptrend. Bigger than 49, create a downtrend. You see? So there you go. There is your framework for analyzing volumes. I added a bar volume as well as some wave volume. The most effective pieces of it. All right, this is it. Thank you. Have a good day.